Hello everyone, welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, and today we're going to be doing something a bit different, something unique, something I hope you guys find interesting, and something a bit fun. Instead of focusing on my account, we're going to be looking at some content creator new promo links that they offer for, of course, new players who go and download the game via that link, and they get some champions included for free. So I thought it was a good way just to kind of go through and get a bunch of lists together for people to pick from themselves, and also just see which ones are best and which ones personally I believe are the best. So I've used Tier Maker here to put together a sort of list. I suppose we've got S+ at the top and then D at the bottom, and then I've picked up a bunch of content creators like user profiles on YouTube, and I'll just put their picture where I think their promo link rates. So how it's going to work is I will tell you guys their champions that you can find in their promo link, and if it's the first time I mentioned a champion, we'll go and have a quick look at their kit, which won't take too long, and if it's not, I'll just skip over their kit, and then I'll just slot their face or the picture wherever I think it deserves to go on this tier list. I will preface this by saying it is only a rating of their link and is not in any which way representative of the actual content on the channel itself. All I'm looking at are the champions in the link. It's meant to be a bit of fun. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and of course this is just my opinion, so you're more than welcome to go and disagree with me in the comments. I will leave a link to all the content creators down below to their YouTube channels, and I will also leave a link to the tier maker down below, so if you guys want to go feel around, you will be more than welcome to. And I will at the end of the video show the list I've got a list with everyone's links and their champions that you can get on it, and I'll show a screenshot of that at the end of the video just so you guys can look at it in one place and you will have a good place to look for all the champions. But without further ado, who should we start off with? I'm thinking we should start off with, I believe this is Game Leap Bobby. I'll just check my list. Here we've got Game Leap Bobby. So we'll start off, we'll have to go back to Raid Shadow Legends. I will also apologize, I have a mechanical keyboard, so every time I go back you will hear a slight click, but hopefully that doesn't annoy you guys too much. So starting off with Game Leap Bobby, on start you get Phsylax here, who I believe is a High Elf Legendary. Phsylax Uranus. Alright champion. I mean, you've got a single target block buffs if they have no active buffs and steals 1, and then you've got a attack one enemy 3 times and ignores some buffs, as well as 50% of the target's defense on a 3 turn, and then the A3 is an AoE stun for 1 turn on a 4-turn cooldown, and if the stun is not placed, it decreases the target's turn meter by 50%. So, in my opinion, an alright champion, but not out amazing, and I know there are some better legendaries you can get to start off with down there. We then move into Tagore, who on the other hand is a great champion. I believe they are an Ogren tribe. Hopefully that is correct, otherwise they are an orc, which I've got wrong. So we'll go and have a look at the orcs. Here is Tagore. Tagore is an amazing champion, of course, orc support. Got an increased defense on the ally with the lowest HP and an attack enemy 2 times. Then you've got a nice attack all enemies, but the increased speed and then the heal is what is amazing on a 3-turn cooldown, is very nice. And then you have a 5-turn cooldown AoE revive, which places a shield on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 20% of this champion's max HP, but he can place this shield without reviving anyone, which can be good, can be bad, depends if you're running it on auto. And then it's got a nice passive here, decreases the damage allies receive by 10% with 50 HP or less, which is pretty good. So overall, Tagore is a very, very strong champion, especially for a beginner account, and of course all of these champions need to be catered towards a beginner. We then move into Ugo, who is in the Ogren tribes. Ugo, of course, is a great champion. She's known very much for this block buffs, decreased defense on her A2. Of course, you do need to get the sniper mastery to get this up to 100%, but it's an amazing ability. She's got an A1 leech. She's then got a nice heal on her A3 here, which is on a 4-turn cooldown, and a heal reduction, and then a soft cleanse. So remove the heal reduction, and then we'll remove also one more random debuff, and then she's got a really interesting kit here where if she's the last one alive, she will revive all dead allies with 50% HP and then fill the turn meters by 50% instead. And this pairs very nicely with her passive here, which places that 30% increased speed and that block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn when they're the last living ally, which can be very clutch in some niche situations. So she is a very good champion. And then finally, the final character you will get on this promo code is an Undead Horde champion, and we will be looking at Mausoleum Mage here, who is interesting, probably the weakest one. He's got an A1 decreased speed for 2 turns on a 40% chance, can go up to 45% if you go with the Sniper Mastery, I believe. And then he's got a nice triple buff here on a 3-turn cooldown with increased crit rate, increased defense, and then block debuffs on all allies for 1 turn. The block debuffs is on 1 turn, and the other 2 buffs are on a 2 turn. And then got a cleanse, and then a heal, and then an extra heal, and a fill of turn meter, depending on how many debuffs were removed, and that's on a 4 turn. But in all honesty, I think Muslim Mage is probably the weakest out of the 3 epics you get, and Basilius Ramus is okay. However, I've done this rating in comparison to all the other links out there, so unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to give this a D. Again, this is no way in a reflection of the content, this is just on the link itself. I just think the Legendary is pretty bad itself, and just overall not that great. You can get much better links out there. So moving on to Bash Raids here, who is this guy, and he has Elenarl, who we'll go and discuss now because of course I haven't discussed her. So he's got Elenarl as the download champion, another high elf, and I would rate Elenarl higher than I would Ryanus here. So Elenarl's got an A1 HP burn, which cannot be resisted, which is also nice because it means no accuracy is needed and it won't get 3%ed. Her A2 is an AoE, place a poison debuff for 2 turns, places a second poison debuff for 2 turns if the attack is critical on a 3 turn. So you're basically looking to place 2 poison debuffs on an AoE. And then you've got an activation of all the poison debuffs on all enemies on a 4 turn cooldown. And so she's good because she's a poison activator, can be great for early game clan boss. Other than that, she's nothing too special, but I mean early game she can be decent, especially when you're looking to do poison damage in all your early game runs and dungeons and clan bosses, just because you're not having the correct gear in order to do more damage. So overall, I think she is better than Ryanus, but still not the best champion, but decent. And then we've got a new champion here, so we end up having Fane, who is a skinwalker, and now I think Fane is an amazing champion. She's got an A1 steal turn meter on a 50% chance, and it's 5% on a 2 times hitter, so you can steal up to 10% of the target's current turn meter, which is very nice. But then it's her A2 and her A3 which make her really good. So her A2 is on a 3 turn cooldown once booked, and it places 2 poison debuffs and a decreased attack on the enemy for 2 turns, and it's a single target attack here. And then she's got an A3 here, which attacks 1 enemy 3 times, which then places a decreased defense. The second hit places a weaken, and then the third hit heals Fane for 4% of the max HP of this champion for every debuff on the target. So overall, she's incredibly strong. She's great into early game clan boss just because she's bringing decreased defense, weaken, decreased attack, and poison. So a whole lot of debuffs which you really want going into clan boss. So an amazing champion, and she will pair well with the poison exploder that is Elenarl. But then of course we've got the 2 more champions. We've got Ugo and Tagore to wrap it up. I'd probably rate this one higher, I think, than Bobby's. So we're then going to put Bash Raids at a B. Overall, I think it's pretty decent. I do like it, and it's overall decently good to start with, probably middle of the run. So then we got our next guy up, which is going to be Deebo Dragon here. Deebo Dragon has Corrado, who we haven't spoken about yet. So we'll go and have a quick look at him. What is Corrado? I'm gonna have to. Corrado is a Shadowkin. Corrado, in my opinion, not a great legendary champion. Partners with Yumiko, but he's just really not that good. For a legendary, he's got an attack 1 enemy 3 times and has a chance of placing weaken. It's alright. Then he's got an attack 1 enemy, places a stun for 2 turns. Grants an extra turn. See, we can't read the second bit because we don't have Yumiko. So it's just a single target stun on a 3 turn cooldown. But the stun is for 2 turns, but it's not great. Not great at all. And then we've got an AoE chance of placing a block active skills for 2 turns on a 4 turn cooldown for 2 turns. Not helpful, I think, at all for early game. Is basically what this champion is. He's just the AoE block active skills. Not great in my opinion. Not going to be that much helpful for PvE. Could be a bit helpful for PvP. Single target stun for 2 turns. Again, not great. And then the weaken is, yeah, no, not a fan. Not a fan. Again, he's got a cool passive here, but it doesn't do too much in the grand scheme of things. So overall, I'm not a big fan of Corrado, and I don't rate him that highly. And then to finish off Deebo Dragon's link, we then have Fane, Ugo, and then Vergis. So Vergis, I haven't spoken about. I'll bring him up, of course, very quickly to touch on him. I believe Vergis is a high elf. Now, Vergis is a great champion. He's got a great little A2 here, where he places a continuous heal, 30% increased speed and a reflect buff on a target ally for 3 turns, and this is on a 3-turn cooldown. And then he also places an ally protection on all champions except this champion for 2 turns, and then places an increased defense on him for 2 turns. So he does a lot with that skill and can be very helpful into early game clan boss. He's then got a attack on enemy, 40% chance of placing reflect damage on a random ally for 2 turns, which is very decent. But then his passive here is great, which places a shield debuff on the champion equal 10% of their max HP for 2 turns whenever they lose 10% or more of their max HP from a single hit. And then this continuous heal is also a nice little active effect here, which goes down to a 1-turn cooldown, which places a continuous heal on this champion for 2 turns every time their HP drops below 50%. So he can be great early game for allowing you to get to places where you are stuck. Basically, I'm looking at Doom Tower. He can be really good. He can solo Bommel, and he can solo the Scarab King, especially on normal Doom Tower, and he'll just be really good for clan boss, and he can also be a nice carry through faction war. So I like Vergis. I think he's a very good champion. So overall, how would I rate Deebo Dragon's link here? And unfortunately for me, it's decent, but it's losing a lot of points for having Corrado there as the legendary. I just don't really think Corrado is the legendary you want to be chasing at this stage. So we'll go in and have a look at, I believe this is Cobb now, Cobb Game Leap, and he's got probably a very good download link. It might even be the best. We'll start it off here where you can get Tholan Foulbeard. Now Tholan was a recent fusion, and he is absolutely amazing, especially early game. He's got this weaken here, which can go up to a 75% chance of placing, which 50% chance of placing, and then it goes up to a 75% chance of placing if it's from the Corrupted Alliance or a boss or a minion. So he's just extremely good into any of the bosses early game, clearing through dungeons, and it also grants an extra turn if it's placed on all enemies. Then you've got this nice A2 here, which absolutely slams with this ignore defense, and it's got that scaling attack, which is exceptionally good. And then it also does even more scaling if it's against a boss or a minion. And then you've got this nice AoE A3 with a self buff, which is incredibly good, which means you don't need to run an increased attack champion in your team if you're using him. And then he ignores unkillable and shield, increases the damage dealt on the second hit by 10% for each crit. He's got a really nice passive here, which gives him extra survivability because bosses can't crit him. And then he's taking extra turns with his A1. So Tholan is an exceptionally good champion, and I think probably the best legendary you could get on a starter link from what I've seen we have available. Exceptionally good, so I'd rate him incredibly highly. We then have Venomage. Now Venomage is very similar to Fane in terms of her kit, and I would argue they're probably on the same level, slightly different, but on the same level. Venomage brings a heal reduction and a poison on her A3, which is an AoE here on a 3-turn cooldown. So you want to open up with this, and then you want to go into her A2 here, which places a decreased defense and then a decreased attack if it's under the target's under a poison debuff. Single target attack here on a 3-turn cooldown. And her A1 has got a destroy max HP if they're under a heal reduction, and has a chance of activating poison debuffs. She also brings a little bit of damage reduction with enemies under heal reduction doing less damage. So overall, a very good champion. She's also great into clan boss because you can open up with this, go straight into that decreased defense, decreased attack, get a reduced amount of damage on your team. So overall, great champion. Venomage is perfect. We've then got Lightsworn on this promo link here. So we'll go down. Lightsworn is a epic, void epic, and Lightsworn's not too interesting. Decreased target turn meter on a 3x hit on the A1. Attacks one enemy, decreased attack, and a decreased speed for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Probably would rather this be an AoE, but he's mainly known for this revive on death here on a 4-turn with an increased defense. He's cool, but nothing exceptional, so I wouldn't be looking at him as being an amazing champion. But then you also get Ugo and you get Tagore, so very good champion. So honestly, I think this is going to go straight into S+ territory. Tholan makes it amazing, and then you've got Venomage, Ugo, and Tagore, who are all amazing champions, which I rate extremely highly. The weakest on this link is probably Lightsworn, but I mean, you're getting 5 champions, which is the most you can get on a promo link at this stage, and this is of course excluding any of the other links you can add in to get like Sun Wukong or whatever. So very strong, and I think it's going to go straight into S+ territory. So moving down here, we've got now a Roadblock raid here, and we've got Eleanor, Fane, Ugo, and Tagore. So champions we've all discussed previously, and it's a strong link. Strong link, nothing too exciting, but it's decent. I'm going to put it into B tier, and again, just for future reference, I'm not sorting these in the tier level. So if it's B, they're all just being rated B. I haven't divided it, you know, put the best B rated link first, etc, etc. It's just in the order that I am doing it. Now we move on to Game Leap Midway here, who has Nama as the champion you can get originally on download, who got recently buffed. So Nama's a great champion. She's mainly a poison champion here, so the A1 has a 50% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs, because up to a 75% chance, very strong. Then she's got a very strong ability here. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a decreased attack for 3 turns, and has a 75% chance of placing a leech debuff on all enemies for 2 turns that instantly activates all poison debuffs, and then heals all allies by 25% of this champion's max HP. So very strong here with the poison activation. And then you've got a single target attack here, which places 3 poisons and a poison sensitivity for 3 turns. And then if the initial target is already under 3 or more debuffs, places a 3 poison debuffs and a 25% poison sensitivity debuff on all enemies for 3 turns in turn. So she's incredibly strong. Probably on the same level as Tholen. She's got a really nice passive here too. However, my issue with Nama is the amount of books required. Tholen really doesn't need the books early game, but Nama does. So starting off early game, you're not going to have that many legendary books, and she likes to read. So unfortunately, that's where she's getting a tick down, but she's much better in the later game and probably on par with Tholen. So overall though, pretty strong. We've then got Anax on this link, and Anax is another great champion who is not in the Knight's Rev, but I believe he is an Undead's Horde. And Anax is a damage dealer here, so he's got an attack one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense, booking up to a 35% chance. He's then got a attack one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing a decreased accuracy and a poison debuff for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, which is exceptionally strong because those are 3-turn buffs on a 3-turn cooldown. And then you've got an attack one enemy has a books up to 100% chance of placing a weaken, and also heals this champion by 50% of the damage inflicted. So a very strong champion, and has a nice passive to go along with it. He's got good multipliers, so he's an exceptionally strong epic damage dealer and can be great for undead hordes. We've then got Ugo and Musalim Mage to finish off this link. So overall, what would I rate it? I would probably give this link an S in all honesty. If we go back to the tier list now, it's exceptionally strong. You're getting Nama. I really like Anax, and Ugo is exceptionally good. Musalim Mage is probably the weakest on this link. However, it's still pretty good, so I'll give it a solid S. So moving on now, we've got Sam, the raid man here, who's got Corrado, Fane, Ugo, and Vergis. Again, I think Corrado is honestly just letting this link down quite a lot. Vergis, strong. Ugo, strong. And Fane, also very strong. But you're really being let down with the better options you can have instead of Corrado. So honestly, this is probably going to have to slot into the C category here. We then have Cool Kids Raid, who has Nama, Anax, Ugo, and Mausoleum Mage, the same promo code as Game Leap Midway, so it's going to go straight into S tier. Of course, a very strong link. We then have Zero Brew Raid, who has Corrado, Anax, Ugo, and Mausoleum Mage. Now, this is again alright, but if you compare it to the link above, you're basically getting Corrado instead of Nama. So, in my opinion, you take Nama any day of the week. So for me, this is going to go into the B tier right here, just because I think Nama is such a better option than Corrado. And then we've also got Felonicia Raid, who I believe will also be going into the B tier because she has the exact same link as Zero Brew with the Corrado, Anax, Ugo, and Mausoleum Mage. We then have Dan Mind Gaming here, who has Alanril, Fane, Ugo, and Tagore. Strong link. Again, I mean, you're looking at Alanril, who I think is probably maybe the 3rd best legendary you can get on the start. Overall, decently strong. I will have to put it into the B tier though. Of course, B tier was probably looking at middle of the pack, and the same thing here with Kripsko, I believe is how you pronounce that. He's got the exact same link as Dan Mind Games, so that will be going straight into the B tier. Now we'll move on to Bolan here, who's got a link with Nama, Ugo, Tagore, and Deacon Armstrong. So this is the first time Deacon has appeared, and he is an exceptionally strong champion. I believe he is a Sacred Order Epic champion here, if I can see him, unless he might not be Sacred. Here he is. Now, Deacon is an amazing champion. He brings that 90% speed in all battles, which is exceptionally good, but he's known for this A3 here on a 3-turn cooldown, which gives you an extra turn, fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%, and decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%. And then he's got this AoE decreased defense here on a 3-turn, and he's got an A1 leech here, which does take a lot of books, but it's pretty decent. But it's because of this extra turn, he's great. He basically can cycle through these abilities so quickly on a 2-turn that it makes him much better than he otherwise would be, and he's an amazing champion to get early on in the game. He can just hard carry you through a bunch of dungeons, just getting you going through faster, slowing down the enemies, putting out that decreased defense. So overall, I think he's exceptionally strong, and I think this link is exceptionally strong, especially with Nama. So Bolan, I'm going to have to put up at an S tier link. Right, we've then got Dark Sword here, who has Alanril, Vergis, Tagore, and Deacon Armstrong. Pretty strong link, very similar to the one above. However, you're looking at Nama instead of Alanril for the Bolan's link, and I just think this is going to probably end up putting it in the A tier, just because, of course, you've got Deacon, you've got Tagore, you've got Vergis, all exceptionally strong champions, but I think your Legendary is a bit weaker than what it could be, so he will be going straight into the A tier. And then Deity, he's got the exact same link, so that will also be going into the A tier. Now we've got MXPGE here, whose link is Corrado, Ugo, Rector Draft, Tagore, and Mausoleum Mage. And so Rector Draft hasn't been discussed, so we'll discuss Rector quickly. She's a great champion. She is a Knights Rev Reviver, Epic Reviver here. So she's very good if I can see her. She brings a nice decreased attack on the A1. She's got a heal all enemies by 20% of this champion's max HP. And she either places a perfect veil if they have full HP, or a continuous heal if they have less than 100% HP on. This is on a 4-turn. And then she's got a single ally revive with a turn meter fill, and then a perfect veil on a 4-turn cooldown. And she's got a nice passive here, increasing the res of all allies under that, and then heals them if they're under a perfect veil. So she's pretty strong. However, you can get her through your beginner pass. So if you're willing to spend money on the game, this link might be a bit redundant, just because you'd rather get a champion you cannot guarantee to get, or you can't guarantee yourself to get, but Rector you can guarantee yourself to get. So you'd rather go get someone else that you wouldn't otherwise be guaranteeing yourself, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna rate this link a little bit lower, just because I just don't think you really want to be going after Rector. Corrado obviously isn't, in my opinion, not a very good Legendary. You do get 5 champions, however, I just don't think it's as good as the other links we've seen. But because you do get 5, I'm going to be putting it into the B tier list there. Now we've got Frostbite coming up here, who's got Alanril, Vergis, Tagore, and Deacon. Overall, very strong link. I'm going to be putting this into the A tier list here, sliding right in. And then we've got the Arctic here, which is this guy here. And then we've got Corrado, Ugo, Mausoleum Mage. That is it. Corrado, again, not great. Ugo is the great champion here, and Mausoleum Mage is bad. So unfortunately, this one is going to be going into the D tier. Only getting 3 champions is just not a good link. Next up, we have Game Leap Bibi here, who has the exact same link as Cobb. So I'll be putting that up right here. Exceptionally strong link. It's probably the strongest I think you can get in the game so far. So I'd be going with that, and Shay will be going straight into the S+ tier in terms of the link. Then we have Old Guardian up next, who's got Deacon Armstrong, Ugo, Tagore, and Mausoleum Mage. Pretty strong link overall. I'll be putting that into the A tier. Again, very strong. Anything with Deacon, anything with Ugo is incredibly strong. Of course, you are not getting a Legendary in this, which is the trade-off. However, all these epics are exceptionally strong, and epics early game typically are better than Legendaries, just because they're easier for you to build out with the book. So overall, strong link will be going into the A tier. Now, Volkin is up next, who's got Tholan, Tagore, Ugo, and Venomage. Incredibly strong link. I'm going to be putting that into the S tier, go straight up there. I mean, Tholan for me, as I keep saying, best Legendary champion you can get on a link early game. Tagore, amazing. Ugo, amazing. Venomage, amazing. So for me, that's going straight into the S. Couldn't put it into the S+ because I'm saving the S+ for the link I would use, or the links I would use. But S, it's incredibly strong. Then we have Cat, Raid Shadow Legends, who has a Corrado, Ugo, Miscreated Monster, and Deacon Armstrong. This is the first time we've seen Miscreated Monster, so we'll go take a look at him. HP based champion here. He's got a single target 2x hitter, which has a chance of placing a stun, and then if the stun is placed, has a chance of placing that decreased defense. Low chance of the stun, however. He's then got an AoE attack all enemies, 50% chance of placing a stun, booking up to a 50% chance because it doesn't book up, and then places a shield on all allies for 3 turns equal to 25% of the damage inflicted. And he's got an ally protect here on his A3, with a interesting passive where it places a fear on the attacker if an ally is attacked under an ally protection. Used to be much better than he currently is, has just been power crept, still deals a pretty good amount of damage, and is overall a solid champion. And of course, Deacon Armstrong on the link is also there, incredibly strong. Overall, I'd give this link, I think, an A. Pretty strong, not the strongest, but probably above average for me. Now we have Pika, who has Elenarl, Ugo, Lightsworn, and Tagore. I mean, Lightsworn for me kind of brings this link down, so I will be putting this into the B tier, which is probably getting the most. But again, you've got some decent champions in Tagore and Ugo. Next, we've got RSL Merchant here, who has Corrado, Ugo, Fane, and Tagore. Pretty standard link, however, Corrado, again, not a fan of, so unfortunately this link will be going straight into the C tier. We then have Tristan Wolf here, who has Harvest Jack, Ugo, Miscreative Monster, and Venomage. Harvest Jack, legendary. I don't think he's exceptionally strong. First time we've seen Harvest Jack here, for me, he's not a strong champion. He's got a A1, attack one enemy 3 times, still has a chance of stealing a random debuff, also has a 25% chance of placing a fear if they have no active buffs, and it increases to 100% if all buffs were stolen from the target. I mean, alright, not great. He's then got an attack all enemies A2, which places a block debuffs if they're under fear, so a conditional. Then it swaps any increased attack with a decreased defense, a decreased attack, sorry, and then removes all continuous heals from the target, and then places them with a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Instead of that. So it's a bunch of debuff and buff swapping here. However, this I don't believe is on the entire team, so it makes it slightly worse. And then his A3 is an attack all enemies, places a true fear, also places a decreased speed, and a decreases their target's turn meter by 15% if the true fear debuff is placed. He's got a passive here when attack decreases the duration of all buffs on the attacker by 1 turn. Not a great champion. As you can see, reviews are not great. So not a strong legendary to start off with. Again, Ugo, Miscreative Monster, Venomage are all good. Probably Miscreative Monster's the weakest out of them all. But I think this is going to be going straight into the C tier for me. Next up is Raid Ninja, who has Elenarl, Fane, Tagore, and Ugo. Strong link, decent link, pretty basic, and this will be going straight into the B tier for me. Coming up, we then have Fastidious, who has a decently strong link. It has Deacon, Ugo, Tagore, and Mausoleum Mage. And whilst I don't think it is the strongest, I do think it is pretty good. But for me, it's just missing that legendary, such as Tholan or such as Nama, which could really push it into the next level. So this will be going into the A tier for me. Coming up, we have Cece here, who has Elenarl, Ugo, Fane, and Mausoleum Mage. Decent link, nothing too exceptional once again, so this will be going into the C tier for me. I mean, I just think it's missing a couple of the better epics that we have, and Elenarl is not the strongest legendary. She's decent, but I think the epics for this one let it down a little bit. We've then got Krabby here, who has Elenarl, Lightsworn, Vergis, and Tagore. Decent, but again, similar to the one before from Cece, so we're going this straight into the C tier. We then have SMZ, who has Nama, Anax, Ugo, and Mausoleum Mage. Very, very strong link. I think Mausoleum Mage lets it down a little bit, but I will be putting this straight into the A tier. And then finally, to end it up, we have Lumi here, who has Corrado, Fane, Ugo, and Vergis. Decent link. Corrado, I think, really lets it down a fair bit, but the rest of them are pretty good. I'd probably put this into the C tier. And that is all the content creator new player links here that we have. I mean, as you can see, Cobb and Bibi have the best links in my opinion, just because they've got Tholan, Venomage, Lightsworn, Ugo, and Tagore. You're getting 5 champions, you're getting Tholan, you're getting Venomage, you're getting Ugo, and you're getting Tagore. So overall, very good champions. Only thing that would make this better would probably be getting Deacon instead of Lightsworn, but you can't have them all. So I'd be going with that link if I was starting a new account. So here it is. If you guys were curious, this was everyone's kind of links that I looked at. As you can see, the name, which is up here, which you can't see, my fingers disappeared, and then the champion you started with, and then I just went first, second, third, and fourth for the champions you would get. So some of them you got 5, and the littlest you got, I suppose, was 3. I tried to go to the most recent videos to grab the download link, but sometimes I just got it from the description. So again, hopefully these are correct. Some of them could be wrong. It depends if people haven't updated their descriptions for the most recent link that they offer, but of course I'm not accepting responsibility for that. So these is just a summary if you guys want to go have a look. Again, I'll leave the link to everyone's channels down below in the description, and I will of course leave the link to the tier maker, so you guys can go and mess around. And once again, just to make it completely clear, I'm only rating the links. It is my personal opinion. Not at all is it meant to comment on the quality of the content that the channel puts out. It's just meant to be a bit of fun and to help some people early on. So of course, if you want to have a look, this is the end ratings, and just go to the relevant content creators link and go and take it from usually the bio or the most recent video, and you can go and play Raid Shadow Legends using what I think is probably the best start. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it as being a little bit of a change up, a little bit of fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one, and have a great rest of your day.